Hi guys, my name is Adeshina. Welcome to today's Technically Speaking webinar. I'm the managing partner for Trendonomics Partners Limited, and we'll be looking at the Nigerian stock market and equity trend analysis. We're doing a trend analysis and review of the first quarter in the Nigerian stock market, and also give an outlook for what to expect in the month of April going forward. Today I want to look at we're going to be looking at the Broad or Share Index. We're going to be looking at some individual equities, how they have performed so far, using technical analysis methodologies, and what to expect in the index, as the major broad index, sectorial indices, and some equities. Now, interesting to note is we saw the NSE or share, the broad or share that happened in the Nigerian stock market using a top-down approach. We're going to look at the sectorial indices down to the broad or share index, down to some sectorial indices, and we're going to go down to individual equities and do a bit of a projection of what likely expect. Now, the first quarter in 2019 ended on a bearish note, and it ended with a decline of 1.2%. For technical analysts who have studied the trend over the years, would the decline in the all share index be a surprise? No. Since 2014 down to 2019, the only first quarter in a year that we saw a positive run in the NSE was in 2018. So it is interesting to note that the decline in the all share index in the first quarter of 2019 follows in line with what had happened since 2014. In 2014, the first quarter saw a decline of -6.2. The first quarter in 2018 saw a decline of -8.4. While in 2016, the first quarter saw a decline of -11.6. In the first quarter of 2017, we saw a decline in the value of the all share index by 5.1%. So the only year we saw a positive rise in the first quarter was in 2018, where we saw the all share index appreciated by 5.8%. And the first quarter of 2019 had seen a decline of 1.2%. Now, two things should interest us in this decline. This is the least decline that we have seen in every first quarter since 2014. So we didn't see much. Yes, it was -1.2, but the decline was not as massive as what we had seen since 2014, with the exception of 2018. So the first quarter, looking at trend analysis, we would see that for the past 4 quarters, second quarter 2018, third quarter 2018, fourth quarter 2018, and first quarter 2019, the broad all share index has fallen in value. The all share index has fallen in value. Now, but let's take a look at some technical levels. Let's technically look at the trend. So I want to scale down to the monthly time frame of the broad all share index. Now you would see that I've drawn some historical levels here. Now, since we saw a renewed bargaining interest in the all share index from 2017, this bargaining interest has seen a sharp rally down to the high, where it find a resistance at 45,231.8 points. And since then, we are seeing a decline, breaking through some intermediate support levels, and you see support levels. Now, this back to this initial support level, and for the past 4 months, you will notice that the all share index, the broad all share index, has been trading within a tight range at this support level of 30,984.8. So it was a previous support that acted as resistant. It was previous resistant that is now acting as a support point. So there were a lot of that for the past 4 months there has been indecision in the all-share index. But interesting to note is this: the RSI stochastic RSI level is at 1314. The ultimate oscillator is at 38, which is more at the oversold territory, while you've seen a flatness in volume that is traded. So what does this depict? We experienced an uptrend since 2017, a decline since 2018, to currently trade at key technical level at the moment, seeking for direction. So we are here to see direction in the all-share index. So let's look at some individual, some sectorial indices. Same behavior we see in the banking sector. The banking sector index has shown that it has also been trading within the range after we had seen a sharp uptrend. I love to have a gauge to the market, so I usually plot out my Fibonacci to know what level at which we are trading currently. Now, looking at doing the Fibonacci analysis is a technical tool for us to be able to identify dynamic resistance and support point. We would notice that the banking index, or the banking stocks makes up the banking index. So we'll notice that the banking index has been trading within the Fibonacci retracement zones of 50% and 61. So which is 419.32 points and 369.7 points. So what do we expect? Remember, we said the all-share index is trading within a tight range, yet to made up its mind on which levels to go, which direction to go. And the same also we can see in the banking index too. So we would like to say that the banking index is a strong influence in the all-share index. Let's take a look at the consumer goods. It has been declining since 2018, and in 2019, so far it has been trading within the range. Same as the industrial goods, which has also been trading within the range on a reduced volume. We saw a bit of an upside rally in the insurance sector in the month of February, but found resistance at 134.28, which was a historical resistance point, and you now saw selling. So in essence, we are seeing a range-bound market. So the conclusion from what we are seeing from the broad all-share index is that the Nigerian stock market is trading within the range. In all sectors, we have seen them trading within the range. So what does this depict on individual equities? It shows that most equities are either trading within the downtrend or trading within the range. But surely we would also see an exceptional move in one or two equities. In the first quarter of the year, for instance, CNI Leasing had performed very well, appreciating 348.88 3.348.88% in terms of values. So if you had bought CNI Leasing in January at the price of 2 naira or 1 naira 10 kobo, and it's now at 798, that's about 300% appreciation in value. So let's take a look at some individual equities because of our time, and I want to entertain one or two few questions. Of note for me, let's take a look at Dangote. Now, Dangote Cement. If you observe what we saw in the all-share index for month-on-month movement, that has been trading within the range, same as Dangote index, the Dangote stocks. It has also been trading within a tight range, and there's an historical level 2 that has been trading. You will notice that it has been trading within this support point that was breached, acted as resistance, now acting as a new support. And we have seen Doji, Anangeman, bearish candle, but not, it didn't go below 185.64. And why the market stochastic RSI is at the extreme point, oversold, and 39. So my interest is to see a renewed accumulation in the likes of Dangote, to see a renewed accumulation in the likes of Dangote in the coming months, with my risk limited at about 180, so 180, 175 thereabout. I will entertain questions. So whatever question you ask, there will be room for questions. This one we want to look at one or two individual equities before we move on. So that's for Dangote. Let's take a look at one of my favorites. We saw this. Let's look at one of my favorites, GT Bank. It's part of my favorites in terms of stocks because it has been trading within some levels, and it has shown a very good trading. Technically, it's shown a good trading pattern. GT Bank also has been seen like a sharp uptrend, a decline, a sell-off, bringing GT Bank to come and retest a previous support. The previous resistance now acting as support at about 31.30, at about 31.55 and 30 range. So, and for the past 1, 2, 3, 4 months too, even 5, 6, 7 months, it has been trading within the range of 39.44, which was when we saw the double top in 2017 and 2018, and it breached it in 2017, in 2007, 2008, which was breached in 2017, came back below it, and now trading within this same double top at 39.44, it was 40, and 31.55, 30.03 support range. So for the likes of GT Bank, it's going to be trading within the range. It's going to be trading within the range. Going to be within the range. But what I do is trade within the range. It comes to the support, I accommodate, sell before it gets to the resistance. So a breakout, we see a massive uptrend. Let's take a look at what. Let's look at another interesting stock, which I know after Zenith Bank marked down and after declaring the dividend and marked down, we can see that Zenith Bank is trading on a daily time frame, trading below moving averages in the range, in line with our conclusion that the NSE share index is presently in a ranging situation. So most stocks will also be trading in that direction because they are the ones that makes up the Broad or share index. I want to give room for question, especially question relating to individual equities. I will technically be looking at these stocks and be giving my opinion of what to likely expect. So let me chat upon. So any question as regards individual equities? What are you looking at? What direction are you looking at? But looking at the trend analysis so far, the broad L share index is trading within the range, and we don't really expect to see much rally until there's a breakout in any of this range. So, any question? on any individual equities, any individual stocks, and especially the broad or share index. I've taken a look at the likes of Transcorp, also trading within the tight range of 1.61 kobo and 1.25 kobo. Okay, I've seen one. Now, do you anticipate a rally in GT Bank? Yes, I do. Remember, this is my personal opinion. So, from a technical analyst perspective, I do, because GT Bank has failed to close below 30 naira, 30 naira. Now, at that point, I do accumulate. But because I understand that the market is still on a broader perspective, trading within the range, I exit before I get at about a high of 35. But in the short term, let me give you the quarterly analysis. You'll see that using the quarterly analysis, what we see is the likelihood for GT Bank rally could be on the high side. But the general market behavior should also be a factor to be looked at. So as a technical analyst, we will look at, okay, it may rally, the likelihood of a rally is high, but our risk also should be limited at 30 naira in case the market tends to behave pessimistic on the stocks. We saw a pessimistic view to the stocks. So, but presently, for GT Bank, it tends to be relatively stable so far, and like to say, a rally in it. So I am having another question. Dangote Cement, yes. For Dangote Cement, it has been stable. It has been stable so far. Also, Dangote Cement, I expect a rally because it has been finding support at a historical level of 185.64. Let me briefly dive into Dangote Flour. This will be of interest to anyone, especially looking at technical analysis. I'm looking at the monthly time frame. After we saw a sharp uptrend in Dangote Flour in the month of February, where it gained 81.7%. In the month of March, it tends to be stable. We saw a bit of indecision. Now, we may likely now trading at a resistance of 10.37. So the likelihood of seeing the likes of Dangote Flour approach 15.27 is on the high side too. I'm presently trading above moving average. So you'd see that when we had it got to about 12 naira 15 kobo, it gave it the opportunity to leave the overbought territory, come down to the buy zone for a new bargaining interest. So any question, I want to end up this webinar. But any question before I end up the webinar, I'll be providing the video for this webinar. It will be made available on at trendonomicsng.com, www.trendonomicsng.com, or the Facebook page at Trendonomicsng, or my personal blog, adeshinacfte.blogspot.com. You can also ask for the video by sending your email by sending your name, your email address to info@trendonomicsng.com. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. I'll be able to answer any of your questions as regards the stock market. I'll also be making one or two personal picks on my thoughts on the market. Okay, I'm having one of those questions. Let me see. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate Dre. Okay, so I'll also be making the video available on YouTube channel at Trendonomics. But you can also send me your email address to info@trendonomicsng.com. I'll send you the link on how to watch this video all over again. Also, if you're not part of the Trendonomics WhatsApp group community, online community, I will also add you up to the online community. Just send your email address and your phone number to info@trendonomicsng.com, or you can also send your details to this mobile number +234 909 21 33294.